An excerpt from the Arkham Advertiser. Professor Christine Krasnowski has been released into the custody of Miskatonic University's School of Medicine after being observed by mental health specialists for several days. Students and faculty alike were stunned when Miss Krasnowski, a poetry and literature instructor at Miskatonic for 6 years, was found on campus warning of an impending doom and suffering from strange cuts and bruises. Dr. Alan Halsey, the Dean of Miskatonic's Medical School, stated, "Christine's case is unique and requires a rare kind of understanding. She has received excellent care thus far, but we believe that the real help she needs to confront her fears is here, within the walls of Miskatonic." Hello everyone, Catweazle here. Welcome to the channel and welcome back to another playthrough of Arkham Horror, where we're playing Kung Fro's introductory scenarios, and we are on to scenario 9 out of 10, so things are getting extremely tasty. What does this involve? Well, first of all, we've got 2 expansion boards for the first time. So we have Kingsport, which is down here. Kingsport is south of Arkham, and to the north is the cursed town of Innsmouth. So we've got Innsmouth to the north and we've got Kingsport down here to the south. Both these boards will be bringing their peculiarities with them. So for example, you can see the rifts here for Kingsport, and up here we have Innsmouth with its Deep One track. So we will be using both of those. One of the peculiarities we have, because we have 2 expansion boards, is we are going to play with extra investigators. We are going to play with 6 instead of the normal 4. This is because we obviously need more investigators to get round and cover more ground. So we have 6 investigators. Also a first for this particular Arkham Horror scenario is the fact that we will be playing by video. So I've invited some people from Tube Tables to take part, very similar to my Eldritch Horror playthroughs. So there's myself and 5 others. We have Stasia, who's joining us for the first time. She's a big Arkham Horror fan. We also have Mark. Mark was also in the Eldritch Horror playthroughs, as was Lawrence. And we also have Doug Herring. So good on Doug. Doug is always up for a bit of a challenge, so Doug is going to join us, and that's great news. And is there anyone I forgot? So there's Lawrence, there's Mark, there's Stasia, there's Doug, and there is also Dave. And Dave has also played in Eldritch Horror 2. So the only brand new person is going to be Stasia. Oh, we've got a clue that's got away from the woods there. So let's have a look at what actually changes. So we've got one of these cards from the Miskatonic expansion. So the number of players is going to be 6. That means our open gate limit is 6, not 7 as usual. The outskirt limit is only 2. As you can see, I've just put a die there with a 2 on it. So we're going to have to watch that. The monster limit does go up to 9, and remember, any monsters that are in Innsmouth or down here in Kingsport or up in Innsmouth won't count to the monster limit. It's just the monster limit within Arkham itself. And monsters drawn, we actually draw 2. Now we haven't got all the expansion boards out because we don't have Dunwich out, so we will be drawing 2 monsters each time that we open a gate. So that is going to be a bundle of laughs, I'm sure you'll agree. We'll put that up there so I can keep an eye on it. Additionally, it's going to be a bit trickier for me because I've got all sorts of stuff that I will have to remember. Things like the riffs, things like the Deep One track. So, as ever, if you notice any mistakes at all, please do let me know. We are pushing the boundaries of my memory, which isn't good at the best of times. I will try and catch everything. We've got some experienced players, so hopefully we will manage to muddle through. As I say, we do have all the bits that come with the expansions. A couple of other bits here. We've got the North Point Lighthouse. So we've got the Captain of the White Ship card, and we've also got the changed card for the strange house high in the mists. So all that sort of stuff, the vortexes, the rifts, all that sort of thing, the Innsmouth luck cards, they are all in. So we'll have some laughs with them. Additionally, we are also playing with an institution. And as you probably guessed by the introduction, we're playing with Miskatonic University. So this is an academic institution. When Miskatonic University is the institution, place the Miskatonic student cards and the expedition markers near the institution sheet, and we'll do that shortly. So let's have a look. Academic pursuits. My good fortune in securing the backing of Miskatonic University was great. So you can launch an expedition. If an investigator is in the science building or in a street area with an expedition marker during the upkeep phase, he may spend 10 toughness worth of monster trophies or 2 gate trophies to place an expedition marker on a street area on an expansion game board. So that'll be Kingsport and Innsmouth for us. An expedition marker can only be placed on a street area on an expansion game board and cannot be placed on an expansion game board that already has an expedition marker on it. So it's one for each board. An expedition marker cannot be moved once it is being placed. Note, expedition markers do not affect, nor are they affected by any other tokens or markers on the board. So a rift won't get rid of one, for example. Chartered transportation. During his movement phase, an investigator may spend 1 movement point to either move from the science building to an area with an expedition marker, or move from an area with an expedition marker to the science building, or to another area with an expedition marker. This does not interrupt the investigator's normal movement. So basically, you're catching the institution bus. Advanced classes. If an investigator is in the administration building or in a street area with an expedition marker during the upkeep phase, he may spend 5 toughness worth of monster trophies or 1 gate trophy to either gain a Miskatonic student card, or, if he already has a Miskatonic student card, to flip the card over to the Miskatonic alumnus side. The restricted section. If an investigator is in the library or in an area with an expedition marker during the upkeep phase, he may spend 5 toughness worth of monster trophies or 1 gate trophy to search the common item deck and take the first tome he finds. Alternatively, he may spend 10 toughness worth of monster trophies or 2 gate trophies to search the unique item deck and take the first tome he finds therein. So that is the Miskatonic University institution. It's the first one that we've actually played with. So let's see if we get around to actually doing that. Seems a bit of faff, but if we can do it, let's see if we cannot do it. Right, so that is the institution. What other bits and pieces? We'll get to Bokrug, who will be our ancient one. We'll get to him lastly, I think. We'll do him last just before we pick the Mythos card. So is there anything else to go through before we actually get to the investigators? Oh yes, hopefully this will be slightly shorter. I know I say that all the time, but I'm going to gloss over some quick things that we have seen before. I'm not going to go through the whole scenario, for example. You do know that certain cards get taken out for theme. And what I've already done as well is on tube tables, we have already selected our investigators and picked who's going to play them. I have already, using Kung Fro's thematic starting possessions, already given most of the possessions out. There are a few that still need to be picked, mainly unique items and the odd spell. So I will do that on camera as we go through the individual investigators. So let's find out who our investigators are. And here we are with our first investigator, who is Agnes Baker, the waitress, and she will be played by Stasia. Now Agnes is required for the scenario, so it's very kind of Stasia to volunteer to take Agnes on, but let's be honest, Agnes is a bit of a beast, so brilliant stuff. So here we have Agnes, the waitress. She's got 5 sanity and 5 stamina, which is cool. And she also has a couple of special abilities. She's got Memories of Conquest. Any phase when Agnes casts a spell that provides a bonus to combat checks, the spell adds the number of hands it requires to its combat check bonus. She also has Blood is Power. Any phase when paying a spell's sanity cost, Agnes may spend stamina for part or all of the sanity cost on a 1-for-1 basis. So that's very useful. She starts at Velma's Diner. She has some fixed possessions. She has $6 in Kung Fu starting thematic possessions. She actually gets an extra $1, so she's got 6. She's got 3 clue tokens, and she gets the spell Wither. We've seen Wither before, so I'm not going to read through it. So her random possessions, out of the starting possessions she's allowed, she got the Ancient Tome here. Again, we've seen that before. When we come round to playing any of these cards, I will go through them again as normal. She also will get a unique item and another spell. The skill that she's got is +1 luck, so that will come in very useful indeed. So all we need to pick to finish her off is a unique item and another spell. So these weren't included in the starting possessions, so we're allowed to pick any of these. As mentioned, some of the starting possessions do not follow scenario rules because I did not want to be cross-referencing all the time. But everything that is still in the actual game when we actually start, so from here on in, they are all following scenario rules. So these are only Arkham unique items. And she gets, what does she get? She gets the silver key. So there we go. We've seen that before. It's very good for evade checks. So she gets the silver key. And she also gets an additional spell. So let's just give those a quick shuffle and a quick cut. And the spell she gets is the Dread Curse of Azathoth, which is quite a good pick because there's only one left in the deck. We had to take one out due to the scenario, so this was the last one left in the deck. So she's got the Dread Curse of Azathoth as well. And that is it for all her possessions. She does have a couple of relationship cards. So the relationship she's got with the next investigator is Collectors. After the initial setup, anytime you or your partner gains one or more common items or unique items from any game effect other than this card, the other may draw a random card of the same type and purchase it for the list price. So that will be very useful. I won't spoil who the next investigator is, but the next investigator shares Collectors. And the final investigator is the best of friends with Agnes. If you and your partner are in the same neighbourhood, either of you may exhaust this card before making a check to gain +1 on that check. If the Ancient One has awakened, this card may not be used. So Agnes will be best of friends with our final investigator, and she will also be a collector with our next investigator. Just before we do get to our next investigator, let's have a look at Agnes's backstory. So let's flip this over. The story so far. Agnes Baker may just be an unassuming waitress in this life, but in a previous life she knows that she was a powerful witch. In a time and age undreamt of in the modern world, she forced spirits to obey her and destroyed her enemies with terrifying energies. She might never have known of her previous incarnation had she not fallen from a ladder and hit her head while changing a light in the diner. But when she awoke in the hospital, she whispered one word: Hyperborea. Even then, she would have dismissed her visions of a past life as simple hallucinations if it wasn't for the fact that the spells she dreamed of were real. Trying one in secret, mortally embarrassed to even be attempting it, she was stunned to see it take effect. Since then, she has been nurturing her new powers in secret, extremely careful not to let anyone else find out. But as Agnes finishes her shift in the diner this evening, a whisper in the air warns her. Something is coming. Something that destroyed her once before in the ancient past, and she must be prepared. Dun, dun, So that's Agnes. So that leads nicely into her personal story. So let's have a little read. I think we've actually played with Agnes before in Error. I shouldn't have done. She's actually required for this one, but we'll go through it again. She could sense it. The creature that destroyed her once before had returned to repeat the job. Last time she faced it, she was at the peak of her powers. This time she only had a few half-remembered spells and a couple of useful items. Hopefully she could find its weakness before it claimed her life once again. So let's have a look at the pass and fails. The pass is the Destroyer. If Agnes has 3 or more monster trophies, place not this time in play. The fail is, if Agnes is knocked unconscious or driven insane, place History Repeats in play. So there we go. That is Agnes Baker. That is Stasia's Investigator. Let's move on to our next one. And here we are with our next investigator, who is Patrice Hathaway, the violinist, and she is being played by Dave. So let's have a look at her. She's got 5 sanity and 5 stamina, which is good. She's inspiring, so any phase, Patrice may allow the other investigators to spend her clue tokens, even if they are not in the same location or world. That is very strong. Ominous dreams, in any phase, Patrice gains 1 clue token each time a gate opens. She also gains 5 clue tokens when the 9th space on the Ancient One's Doom track is filled. So again, another strong one there, especially at the back end of the game. Just a clarification, you can only do that once. So if we were to knock a Doom token off, put us back to 8 and then go to 9 again, you don't get the 5 clues again, I'm afraid. So that would just happen the once. What else? Well, her home is the Curiosity Shop, and she has fixed possessions. But again, with Kung Fro's thematic starting possessions, there is a slight change here. Her $2 goes up to $3. She keeps her 3 clue tokens, so that's good. And then she's got her random possessions. A couple of these are thematic possessions, so her common item is the Dark Cloak, which helps her with evade checks, and her skill is library use. Now this is a Dunwich skill, which shouldn't actually be in this scenario, but as I mentioned before, it's a bit of a pain to do all the cross-referencing. So as far as my playthrough is concerned, right at the beginning I've allowed any skills. So once we get playing, if we have to draw a skill once we get playing, they will just be Arkham horror base game skills. But as it is, she's got library use. So when she makes a law check, she can add +1 to whatever she rolls. So 3s become 4s, 4s become 5s, that sort of thing. Yep, those are the ones that she picked. So we've got to get her an extra 2 unique items and a spell. So we'll do that now. So we'll get the unique item deck, which is just Arkham base game. Items only. Oh, I think there might be something else that's gone in. There's not many in. The vast majority are actually just base game. So let's see what she gets. First off, she gets an obsidian statue. Any phase, discard obsidian statue to cancel all stamina and sanity loss being dealt to you from one source. Cool, that'll do. And do it again, and another. Whoop. Whoa! It's not. I am doing this round the camera, I will point out. Plus the fact I am rubbish at shuffling, but. And a second is the Kabbalah of Saboth, which is a tome. So movement, exhaust and spend 2 movement points to make a law -2 check. If you pass, draw 1 skill and discard Kabbalah of Saboth. If you fail, nothing happens. So there's the second one of those. And she gets a spell. So let's get the spell deck. Same thing. And we just get a single spell, which is Enchant Weapon. So casting modifier 0, sanity cost is 1, it's a magical spell. Any phase, cast and exhaust to make 1 physical weapon a magical weapon until the end of this combat. Coolness. So that'll come in very useful as well. Right, so We'll have a quick look at what she's about. Then we'll have a look at her personal stories and her actual relationships. But let's flick this over and see her story so far. All her life, Patrice has lived for her music. The soaring sonatas, the graceful arias and the booming marches have always been her closest companions. But sometimes as she plays, she can sense something at the edge of her awareness, something that watches her and waits. For what? She doesn't know. The presence has been growing over the last month, and her increasing nervousness is starting to spoil her ability to play the violin. That's not something she can tolerate. So when an old gypsy she was swapping tunes with told her that she was being watched by an evil spirit, Patrice listened with something less than scepticism than she might have done even a month ago. The gypsy referred her to a shop in Arkham that might have what she needs to get rid of that spirit. That explains why Patrice finds herself entering the curiosity shop this evening, feeling a little silly and more than slightly nervous. Good old Patrice. In the curiosity shop. Good start. Pity she only got 3 books. But there we go. Right, so that's Patrice in the curiosity shop. So her relationships, we know all about collectors. She is a collector along with Agnes. And with the next investigator, she is a fellow traveller. So either you or your partner may exhaust this card to gain 1 extra movement point. Good stuff. With her being a violinist, she'll be going all over the country, all over the world. So that makes good sense. Finally, let's have a look at her personal story. Patrice Hathaway. Whatever this presence was that kept hounding her, Patrice knew she had to get rid of it before something unpleasant happened. According to her gypsy friend, somewhere in this town there was something that could help her, and she would find it, no matter what it took. So let's see what the pass and fails are. The critic, pass. Each time Patrice draws a unique item, put a clue token on this card. If there are 2 clue tokens on this card, place Rhythm Restored in play. Her fail is, if Patrice is knocked unconscious or driven insane, place Soulful Aria in play. So very similar to the personal story, well the fail is, of Agnes. So that is Patrice. Welcome to the game. Let's see who our next investigator will be. And here is our next investigator, Vincent Lee, the Doctor. And he is going to be played by yours truly. So let's have a look at Vincent. He's got 5 sanity and 5 stamina too, so that's pretty good all round. His special ability is Physician. During the upkeep phase, Dr. Lee may restore 1 stamina to himself or another character in his location. He cannot raise a character's stamina higher than that character's maximum stamina. His home is St Mary's Hospital, surprisingly enough. His fixed possessions, again these have changed slightly with the thematic starting possessions. He's actually got $10 and he still has that single clue token. For his random possessions, he will have 2 common items, 2 spells and a skill. We've already picked the 2 common items and a skill because of the thematic possessions. And he's picked a lucky rabbit's foot, a flare gun and mystic gift. Again, these weren't specifically in the starting scenario, in the Doom That Came to Arkham scenario. But as it was, I didn't want to do all the cross-referencing. I allowed them. He's actually allowed to have them as thematic starting possessions, so he's going to begin with them. Right, so he's got those. What else does he get? Well, we've got to find that out now, because he's going to get 2 spells in addition to that. So we'll get the spell deck, and we shall see what we shall see. So his first spell is Find Gate, always useful. So casting modifier -1, sanity cost 1, magical spell, movement, cast and exhaust to immediately return to Arkham from another world. We may trade this. It may be very useful for our gate closer. And the next one is Wither, always useful. Casting modifier +0, sanity cost 0, magical spell, any phase, cast and exhaust to gain +3 to combat checks until the end of this combat. Woohoo! So that will be very useful. So he's now got all his items to start. Let's have a look at his story. So we'll flip it over and have a read. The story so far: a Yale graduate of medicine, Vincent has recently moved to Arkham from Boston to practice at St Mary's Hospital. Since his coming to Arkham, he has seen far too many horrible and unexplained deaths. An elderly victim torn apart by an unknown wild animal, a healthy young man whose heart exploded, and so many others. Their faces haunt his dreams, especially the young man's terrified expression. After all this, small wonder that Vincent has begun to wonder if there's something sinister going on in this quiet Massachusetts town. Tonight, Dr. Lee made the decision to investigate the mysteries of Arkham and stop the strange deaths. He is determined to see this through, even if in so doing he becomes another puzzle for the next Doctor who comes to Arkham. Yeah, go for it, Vinny. So, that is Vincent. And let's find out what his relationships are. So his relationship to Patrice is he is a fellow traveller. So we read through that before. He may exhaust this to gain an extra movement point. To the next investigator, he will vouch for my friend. So after the initial setup, anytime you or your partner gains a bank loan, retainer, Silver Twilight Lodge membership, Sheldon Gang membership, Rail Pass or one of the 1,000 cult membership, the other may choose to take a card of the same type if he does not already have one. So, oh, that could be really good. So I'll vouch for my friend is the relationship he's got to the next investigator that we'll have a look at. Right, so let's have a look at his personal story, just to finish Vincent off. Let's have a look. So, Vincent Lee. Although such a matter would normally be left up to the police, Vincent felt that he owed it to his patients to track down the source of the strange deaths in Arkham. To sit back and do nothing was simply too foreign to his way of thinking. He just had to be careful and call the authorities if things got too hot to handle. Quite right, Vinny. Let's have a look at his pass and fail. So, do no harm is a pass. If Vincent discards 5 clue tokens in a street area during the upkeep phase, place the Doctor is in play. Fail. If Vincent has 3 or more monster trophies, place what have I done in play. So that is Vincent's personal story. And that is it for him. So let's have a look at our next investigator. And here we are with our 4th investigator, who is Michael McGlinn, the gangster. And he is going to be played by Doug. So, good stuff. So, as you might imagine, he's not got a lot of sanity. Look at him, he's mental. So, he's got 3 sanity and 7 stamina. His special ability is Strong Body. Any phase, Michael reduces all stamina losses he suffers by 1 to a minimum of 0. So, that's pretty good. His home is Mars Boarding House. He has fixed possessions. The thematic starting possessions didn't change anything here. He still gets his $8 and he still gets dynamite and the Tommy gun. His random possessions are 1 unique item and 1 skill. I picked his skill out of his allowed skills in the thematic starting possessions and he got conceal. Again, this is a Dunwich one, but once we get playing, any new skills will not be Dunwich, Kingsport or Innsmouth, or will they be Miskatonic ones. They will just be Arkham. So he's got conceal, so he can spend a couple of clue tokens to add to a success on an evade check. But if he uses it, then we'll see that in action. And there's his $8. That is all the stuff that he actually got. But we've still got to pick a couple of other things. We have got to pick a unique item. Now, as part of his thematic starting possessions, he is not allowed a tome. So if we pick a tome, he's not a big reader, we'll have to pick something else. I can't believe that. Could have done with that as well. But, right, never mind. So we'll do that and we will do a cut. And let's see what he gets. He gets an enchanted blade. which will be useful as he is a bit of a face puncher. So magical weapon, +4 combat checks. So just the man to get something like that. So that's brilliant. So he's now got all of his stuff that he's going to use at the start of the game. So let's have a look at his story. So here we are, the story so far. As a soldier in the O'Banian gang, Michael didn't really believe in all this voodoo mumbo-jumbo around town. Or at least he didn't until the night of the foreman job, when he saw fast Louis Farrell pulled screaming into the river by a scaly green creature. As they say, seeing is believing, and Michael is starting to believe. Now he has gathered his belongings together in the room that he rents at Mars boarding house. Louis was a friend of his, and he won't rest until he finds out what's happening in this town and avenges his buddy. So go for it, Mike. He's on a vengeance trip. As we know, he has already got a relationship with Vincent, and they will vouch for each other. They are friends, no doubt. Vincent patches Michael up occasionally. Okay, his relationship with the next investigator will be skull crackers. So if either Mike or his partner, they can exhaust this card before making a combat check to gain +1 to that check. So that will be useful as well. So that's really good. So we've got those two. All it remains is to go through his personal story. So we've got Michael McGlinn. Is this your friend? The orderly pulled back the sheet. It wasn't a pretty sight. He was found in the water last night. We have no clue what these marks indicate. Don't you worry about that. I think I got a pretty good idea. Thanks, Rudy. I owe you, Mr. McGlinn. You know that. Yeah, I know that, Rudy. But thanks anyway. So, what's his pass and fail? Pass is for a friend. If Michael has 5 or more monster trophies, place. This one's for Louis in play. Nice one. Fail. If Michael gains $5 or more, place crime doesn't pay in play. So he has to spend his cash. So there we go. Make sure he doesn't gain $5 or more. It's okay having 8, but if he gets a card or something that gives him more than $5, then we are in trouble. Okay, so that is it for Michael McGlinn. Oh, just a quick thing. I'm not going through the focus or the actual skills here at the bottom. We'll do that during the upkeep phase of turn 1. Let's keep it moving. Okay, who is our next investigator? Our next investigator is Darryl Simmons, the photographer, who is Lawrence's investigator. So let's have a look at Darryl. He's got 4 sanity and 6 stamina. And his special ability is Hometown Advantage. Town Encounter. When drawing location encounters in Arkham, Darryl draws 2 cards and may choose whichever one of the 2 he wants. This ability does not work when drawing gate encounters in the other worlds. I do believe in Arkham will also apply to Innsmouth and Kingsport. It normally does, that phrase. Okay, so his home is at the newspaper. His fixed possessions, he gets $4, which doesn't change. He gets a clue token, that hasn't changed. And he gets a retainer. So that is cool. His random possessions, these are affected by the automatic starting possessions. So his common item, we pick patrolling the streets, which is a task. That's a Dunwich task. Again, that is the only time you'll see any sort of Dunwich stuff in here, apart from one spell, which I think is Summon Shantak. Otherwise, that is it. He has also got 2 unique items, which we'll pick in a minute, and a skill. His skill is a Miskatonic skill, which is Painter. So it's a bit obscure, but he is allowed it as a thematic skill. So if he's in the artist colony location, during the Arkham Encounters phase, instead of having an encounter there, you may exhaust this card to create a painting. Roll a die and consult the chart below to discover the result of your art. 1 to 2, nothing happens. 3 to 4, you gain $3, you flog it. You can gain a clue token, or you can actually get a spell. As it is a Kingsport one, I kept it. There is an artist colony in Kingsport, so that is pretty cool. And that is pretty much it, apart from picking his 2 unique items. We are doing pretty badly. The only Elder Sign we have seen is when I drop one out of the deck. So we could do with pulling one. So let's see if we can do it. Let's see if the Catweazle magic will work. His first one is the Lamp of Al-Hazred, which is a magical weapon, so that's pretty good. So it is it +5? Yes, to combat checks. So he gets that. Come on, Elder Sign. No, damn it. Nameless Cults. He's got a tome. Movement, exhaust and spend 1 movement point to make a law -1 check. If you pass, draw 1 spell. Lose 1 sanity and discard Nameless Cults. If you fail, nothing happens. So, not brilliant. So, unfortunately, we are not picking up our friend's Elder Signs. Damn! Right, so we've done that. Let's spin him over and see what his story so far is. Even while growing up in Arkham, Darryl always knew that there was something not quite right about the strange little town. After graduating from high school, he went to work for the Arkham Advertiser as a photographer, and in the years since he's crawled over every square inch of the city. Last night, however, Darryl saw something horrible, something that has shaken his world to the core and torn away the safe illusions we all foster to protect our minds and our souls. His editor says he was just seeing things, but as he leaves the newspaper building, he knows just what he saw and he intends to show the world. This time he'll be more careful. This time he'll take pictures and prove that things are not normal in Arkham. Good old Darryl. So that's pretty good. So even getting this patrolling the streets, pretty cool. He's not actually patrolling like a policeman. He's just going round taking photographs, which is pretty good, pretty thematic, I thought. Right, so that is Darryl as far as his story goes. We know he's already a skullcracker, so because he shares that relationship with Michael McGlinn. With the next investigator, he shares this relationship, which is friendly rivals. Between you and your partner, the investigator with the fewer monster trophies gains +1 on combat checks. That should be pretty good. And the investigator with fewer gate trophies gains +1 on fight or law checks to close gates. Excellent. There is no effect in the case of ties. So there we go. He's a friendly rival to our next investigator. And that just leaves the personal story. Let's have a look-see. So we've got Darryl Simmons. The closer Darryl had gotten to his quarry, the more problems he'd been having. Flashbulbs would turn up, inexplicably crushed. His lens fogged over. Innumerable mechanical failures conspired to thwart his efforts. But now he was heading into the darkroom to develop what had to be the perfect shot. This would be the one that vindicated him. Pass and fail. 1,000 words. Pass. If Darryl has 2 or more gate trophies, place, there's your proof in play. Fail. If Darryl has 5 or more clue tokens, place, the film is ruined in play. Dun, dun, dun. Well, that's going to be really difficult, so he does need to find something like an Elder Sign, because otherwise he'll just have to close. Oh no, he can close gates, but we prefer to seal them. Right, so that is Darryl Simmons. That is him sorted out. Let's find out who our final investigator will be. And here we are with our final investigator, Finn Edwards, the bootlegger, who will be played by Mark. He's got 4 sanity and 6 stamina, and his special abilities, he's slippery. So in the Mythos phase, when moon monsters move, Finn may choose to move as a normal moon monster. Choose to, he doesn't have to. He does not need to make any evade checks when doing so. So that could potentially get him out of some sticky situations. He's also got the special ability of holdout. So in any phase, Finn never has to discard items or lose money. Even when he is knocked unconscious or driven insane, he still must pay costs as usual. So that is Finn's special abilities. His home is the Bank of Arkham. His fixed possessions do not change. as per the thematic starting possession, so he still gets his $8. He gets one common item, which is whiskey, and one special, which is the bank loan. He doesn't get an extra $10. That £8 plus, sorry, that $8 plus his extra stuff counts for the bank loan, so he doesn't get an extra 10. He just starts with a bank loan. That means he cannot get another bank loan while he has this one. And with his holdout ability, where it says he doesn't lose any of his items, he doesn't. So if he defaults on the bank loan, he won't have to, you know, get rid of items, but it still counts as a default, so he can't get another bank loan. But if he chooses, he can default on his bank loan and sort of run off with all his ill-gotten gains. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so the random possessions that he's got that are picked out of his thematic starting possessions, he got a .18 Derringer, and he also got a lucky cigarette case. He also got 2 unique items that we'll pull in a minute, and he got 2 skills. The skills he got were Persuade, which is +1 will, attack phase, any phase, sorry. Once per will check, you may re-roll all of the dice showing a result of 1. And he also has +1 law, so when he spends a clue token to add to any law check, he gets the extra bonus die, which is pretty good. Right, so let's pick these 2 unique items. So he's got a lot of stuff, has Finn, but that he pretty much can keep hold of all the time as well. So he does start with quite a lot of gear. So let's do the old cut, see what he gets. Gets a gate box. I seem to remember these are pretty good. Any phase, when you return to Arkham from another world, you can return to any location with an open gate, not just those leading to the other world that you were in. Very strong. That'll be very useful. Put that up there, because he's got so much stuff. And an Elder Sign, about bloody time. So we've got an Elder Sign. We've all seen these before. So we've actually got the wherewithal to shut a gate pretty quickly. Actually, you can't see them if I put them up there, can you? So let's just put them here. Right, so we finally got an Elder Sign. Considering we've picked about 10 unique items, it was about time. We've already seen this relationship card, which is Friendly Rivals. And, oh, tell you what we've got to do. We've got to have a look at his story so far. So, the story so far. Prohibition was the best thing that ever happened to Finn Edwards. Until they banned alcohol, he was just drifting through life, doing odd jobs here and there. But afterwards, the demand for alcohol rose to such a fever pitch that he was able to make a comfortable living, evading the law and giving people what they wanted. His new lifestyle particularly suited his personality, providing him with a taste of danger, plenty of cash, and a great deal of personal satisfaction. Of course, those things are all well and good until you find yourself running through the woods at night trying to lose a bunch of knife-wielding maniacs who want to sacrifice you to their dark gods. Although Finn has never been a vengeful man, that incident left him rattled in ways that he hadn't been since getting beaten up on the playground years ago. Stepping out of the bank with enough borrowed cash for guns and supplies, Finn vows that those lunatics will regret the day that they ever crossed him. Yes, Finn and Michael, they're not messing about. So that's Finn. As said, he's a friendly rival with Darryl Simmons, and if you recall, he's also the best of friends with Agnes, the waitress. So we've seen both of those before, so that's pretty cool. We can go on from that. So I think that is it for him. I don't think we need to do any... Oh, what am I talking about? We've got to go through his personal story. Of course we have. So let's have a read. Finn Edwards. Finn smiled savagely to himself. Chase him through the woods, would they? Brandish knives at him, eh? Well, they'd be sorry. Nobody did that to Finn Edwards without facing the music. Yes, indeed. His plans were coming together nicely. Pass and fail. Payback. Pass. If Finn has 3 or more monster trophies, including at least 1 cultist monster trophy, place best served cold in play. Cool. Fail. If the terror level reaches 3, place cut your losses in play. So he's got to get round killing, and pretty quick. But hopefully he'll be able to get rid of that Elder Sign and a few more things, and then he can get on with going on a rampage. Right, that is it for Finn Edwards, the bootlegger. That's Mark's investigator. We'll have a quick look at Bokrug, and that will be it for the introduction and setup. Here he is, Bokrug, the Ancient One. So he's sort of like a lizard god. And just to explain how he comes about, he's actually in a H.P. Lovecraft story called The Doom That Came to Sarnath. And what it is, Sarnath is, I think it's a human village in the Dreamlands in unknown Kadath. And what happens is the human village lives next to a set of creatures called the Ib. And what Sarnath does is they're a nasty bunch, and they actually kill off all the Ib. And these are the Ib here. And but the Ib, well, they don't rest easy, and they all come back as ghosts called beings of Ib. And what they do is they actually call upon their god, who is Bokrug, and Bokrug goes to Sarnath and basically does a whole sort of thing out of, you remember Clash of the Titans, where the Kraken turns up and like destroys Jobber or Jopper, whatever it is. Anyway, Bokrug does pretty much the same thing to Sarnath. And what happens is Bokrug's got a bit confused, and he has confused Arkham for Sarnath, and he's just going to come along and he's going to try and destroy it. So he's stirring in his slumber, and we've got to stop him. Now, these monster tokens, which are the beings of Ib, are quite strange. This is why they are white. They never come onto the board at any point. You cannot fight them, and in fact our investigators can only sort of interact with them in one way, which is to placate them. So if you spend trophies, you can take these guys off the board. There's 4 of them. We start with 4, and they're on his sheet, Bokrug's sheet, and they give him special powers. So while they're all there, this one means investigators receive -1 penalty to luck checks. Now, if Bokrug awakens, both this one and his mates mean you get 3 extra doom tokens. So he'll awake at 12. This will put him up to 15. The next one puts him up to 18. Then it goes up to 21, then 24. So we've got to get rid of these guys. So we'll have to spend trophies to get rid of them. The more we get rid of, the easier Bokrug becomes. If you don't get rid of the beings of Ib, he's pretty much one of the most difficult AOs in the game. However, if you do get rid of all these guys, he becomes significantly easier. So you have a massive incentive to get rid of these guys. So you can spend trophies in order to get rid of them. I won't go into it in any great detail, but that's the one that's -1 on luck checks. We've got another one, which is -1 penalty to close or seal gates. So we could do with getting rid of him early. The third one here is investigators receive -1 to horror checks, and the final one is -1 penalty to evade checks. The main thing though is these put extra doom tokens on in the final battle and make it a lot more difficult to kill this guy. If you recall, it'll be 6. It's because we've got 6 investigators, we need to get 6 hits to remove a single doom token. So if this is up to 24, just imagine how many that is. I'll let you do the maths. So that is Bokrug, and he's a beast. But let's have a read of him. His worshippers. Bokrug is worshipped by the ghosts of its followers, the beings of Ib. At the start of the game, place the beings of Ib on this monster sheet. Investigators suffer the penalties that I've just gone through in there. Bokrug, vengeance for the dead. While Bokrug stirs in his slumber, any investigator may spend 2 gate trophies, 10 toughness worth of monster trophies, or 1 gate trophy and 5 toughness worth of monster trophies during the upkeep phase, while in any other world, so you've got to be in another world, to remove 1 being of Ib of his choice from the sheet. Yeah, so we've got to get rid of these guys, otherwise Bokrug is going to be nigh impossible. We will not go through the battle. We'll do that at such time as we get to the final battle. So that is Bokrug, and he is going to be nasty to defeat if we don't get rid of some of these guys. We don't fight them, we placate them. So by giving them monster trophies and gate trophies, we can actually get them to not support their god. So essentially, I suppose they stop praying to Bokrug, and that takes away some of his power. So that is Bokrug. Let's get back to the main board and let's pull our first Mythos card. And here we are back at the main boards, and we've got to pick a Mythos card. So they've all been shuffled, but what I'll do before I start is we will cut them. So here we go, give it one last shuffle and then a cut. So here we are. What do we get? We get a Strange Plague, which is an environment mystic. So it isn't a rumour, so we keep it. Our gate opens at Independence Square. 2 monsters, remember. And let's get on with it. So put that to one side. Whoop. We'll just plonk these in the middle, whatever they were. So there we go. Rid of that over here. So the first thing we've got to do is get a gate and put it at Independence Square. So let's sort that out. We have gates. We'll keep that because it'll probably go somewhere else. And we've got to find where we're going. So again, here's the gate stack. Take him off. And we'll cut these as well. Why not? So we just know where we are. The only gates that aren't in here are obviously the Dunwich gates. So those have been taken out. Our first gate, and I'm actually going to, normally what I do is keep these like hidden, but I'm not going to bother this time. So Relay, which is one of the hardest gates on the board. So Relay, then we've got to pull 2 monsters out because we've got 6 players. Our first monster is, come on, a Proto-Shoggoth, nasty. And our next one is a cultist, which isn't so nasty. And in fact, I believe Finn's got to kill one of these, so that's pretty good. We won't look at them in any great detail until such time as we actually end up fighting them. These both turn up in Arkham. They will count against the monster limit. One. Where did I put the other one? Where did I put the Proto-Shoggoth? I put him down somewhere. There he is. So he's particularly nasty. So actually I'll stand them up like that. So there we go. We've got a Proto-Shoggoth. And we have a cultist. So they're going to be a laugh. Put this back. And Doom token. So we'll put a little Cthulhu on Bokrug. We are at 1 on the Doom track. Put another Cthulhu on top of the gate stack. So we know to place it next turn. Let's have a look at the card again. So the clue appears at the unnameable. So we'll just move this one across. We have 2 clues at the unnameable. Monster movement is squares, diamonds and circles. He's a moon. Oh, diamond. And it's a fast monster, the Shoggoth. So the diamond is moving on white. So that's 1, 2. It moves into East Town. But at least we haven't got 2 guarding Independence Square. So we've moved those. We've got rifts don't forget the rifts. So we've got to check if any of the rifts match this symbol. So it's square and diamond on white and a circle. We do. This one here. So this second rift down here. So we've got the rift tokens in this bag. Got to pull them. So pulled one. So here we go. And these are a bit difficult to tell. So having a look at that, let's check this board. It's the 7th house on the left. So we'll put that there in the first spot. And if we can get there and have an encounter at the 7th house on the left, which is down here, then we can get rid of that rift marker off the track there. Obviously, if this fills up, then that rift marker comes out onto the boards and starts causing bloody mayhem. So we don't want that. But we've placed that. Let's have a look at the card itself. A strange plague, environment mystic. Investigators cannot gain stamina except by receiving medical care in St Mary's Hospital or from Vincent Lee. Well, we've got Vincent, so that's cool. Plus the fact nobody's like actually been beat up yet, so it's not too bad. Right, we'll put this on the board as it will stay in play. I'll just sort that out. I like to put it in a sleeve, and I'll put it on a stand. Let's place it over yonder. So we'll just put it up there so we know it's there. Brilliant! Have I forgotten anything? Does it cause... Oh, yes. Oh, of course I'm forgetting stuff. We've got a clue. This clue goes direct to Patrice, because we've had a gate open. So she gets an extra clue. Is there anything happening in Innsmouth? No, it's when a gate is prevented from opening. So one opens, so that's fine. So I think that is it. I may have forgotten something. As I say, I'm working with 2 expansions here, but if I remember in the interim, then I'll try and sort that out. But as it is, that is the setup and introduction for Arkham Horror, the doom that came to Arkham, where we've got 6 investigators and they are fighting Bokrug. So let's see if we can do it. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for all the views, for all the subscriptions and for all the likes. It is very much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you to everybody who's been across to Board Game Links to upvote the site. I think we're 7th or something ridiculous. And thank you to everybody who goes across to BGG to comment on the threads or like the videos or anything like that. Thank you very much. As ever, if you've spotted any errors whatsoever, please give me a shout and I will try and fix it before next turn, when we are actually going to kick off on turn 1. However, that next turn will probably be on Sunday, because it's a play-by video and it's the first turn and we've got more players. I'm just giving people a bit of extra time to cogitate on exactly what sort of items they've got, what they want to do in the first turn. So they've got till Sunday, mid-afternoon Sunday British time, to come up with what they are going to do, and then we will crack on with the first turn. We don't know, Agnes isn't the first player, we haven't decided that yet, but that is the sort of order we'll be in. So if Finn went first, for example, then it would be Agnes next. So we've got the order of our investigators, just not who is the first investigator. But as I say, we will know that soon enough. We will know on Sunday. But until then, this is me, Catweazle, signing off. Toodaloo.